Yeah, it's heartbreaking, you know, of how hot and fast this fire burned. Hard to believe. You sit there and you can see California burning up, and you look at the TV and you go, oh wow, man, those poor folks, you know, and then you would never think it'd happen to you, you know. I've lived in Nimrod on this piece of property for 19 years. And this is where my roots are planted. And of course, bad story is my home burned and everything I own other than my pump house and the one vehicle I fled with. And it's been very, you know, heartbreaking. You know, many of my friends have lost their homes and many of them aren't coming back. The night of the fire, it was like we were all, I kind of panicked, you know, didn't really know what to do because I never experienced anything like that, you know, and gathered up the animals, loaded a few things in my car, and away I went, you know, thinking I was going to return. Of course, no sleep that night, and trying to listen to the news, and they basically shut the highway down and wouldn't let anybody return, you know, and it's been pretty hard, you know. My daughter was not with me that night, thank goodness, and it was heart-wrenching to hear her ask, Dad, where's my pillow, you know, why didn't you get my pillow and my stuffies off my bed and all this and stuff. I said, well, babe, all I had time to do was get the animals, and I basically just fled because I was panicked, you know. I was worried about my life and getting stuck up here because the wind was blowing so hard and not being able to get out. You know, that was just very terrifying. This is the remains of the house. You can see how hot the fire got.
There was so much noise, the noise from the wind and the noise from the fire and the traffic on the road and emergency vehicles going up and honking their horns and sirens on, and I'm yelling at my parents, just get in the car, because I was afraid we wouldn't be able to get out our driveway. There were such big trees, big limbs falling down in the driveway. And about 8 minutes after midnight, I screamed a few curse words at them, I think, and told them it's time to go now. And I told my dad, you need to go first so he could get the trees out of the way. And then my mom went, and then I followed behind her the whole time, just being really grateful that my son was spending the night at my sister's house, and I knew he was 10 miles down the road. And we're driving and it's slow, and you can see fire on this side of the road and fire this way, and you can see fire behind you. And I just kept thinking that a tree was going to fall, and it was going to hurt one of my parents, or it was going to hurt me. And I just wanted to get down to where my child was. And as we were going to pull out to head to town, a trailer pulls into Vita Cafe's parking lot, and his wheels came off on fire and rolled towards the Vita Market. And I think it was at that point that the full reality of what was happening was finally setting in. And by this time I had TJ in the car with me, and he was pretty much in shock, not really talking, didn't really have much to say. I didn't have much to say, and we weren't sure where we were going. We just drove and followed the traffic, and we pulled into the Thurston High School parking lot and just kind of sat there for, I think, till 6 or 7 o'clock the next morning, not really, just in shock, not knowing what was happening. And as the reports came in over the next few days, and we realized how many homes had been destroyed, it was my personal mission to try and find as many people as we could, because there were still so many unaccounted for. And we have a large elderly population out here. So we were very, very, very worried about a lot of our neighbors.
By the time it started to spot ahead of itself, and then it started near just above us, right near 42, between 41 and 42. Right here is at 41, and they called us and said, "Get and go now." And then we had firefighters and sheriff's officers, and I've never seen that many lights and responders in my entire life up here in one place. So, and I think honestly that because most of the other people that didn't go to the school to evacuate, there was a group of people, kind of the long timers of the river, most of like my age group of people, and like all of us that have known each other for a long time. We were the ones that were kind of out here right in Blue River. I guess you call us the river kids. And so there were probably 100, 150 of us. And so when I got back and they called and said, "You guys are getting ready to go level 3 and you're gonna need to go," I was able to tell everybody that was right there with me that it was time and everybody needed to go. And just coming home those first couple of times was pretty gut-wrenching. So it's still hard, but it's not. I could tell everybody it's because my trailer is the one that's down on the highway, or closest to the highway down there. And I spent my first night there a couple of weeks ago. And even with all this, it's still home. Which is really hard and weird.
I mean, yeah, you grew up here, so.
Because even with all the burn and all the devastation, everybody's like, "How can you stay there?" I said, "Because this is home." So it'll be nice when we can get it all cleaned up and it doesn't look quite like this. So overall, I think everybody's doing the best that they can, given the really, really, really terrible situation. So, but we're happy that it's hopefully going to be able to start moving forward for a lot more people this next weekend, at least for Blue River, or on the 19th through the 21st. But and just being able to see people get that move, like getting cleaned up and getting properties cleared, and just give people some hope. So
Yeah, I heard there was going to be a team of people coming up.
Yeah. Reach Out Worldwide and Cascade Relief, which are two nonprofit organizations that this is what they do. They come into areas that are affected by natural disasters, and Cascade Relief, I believe, formed because of the fires and the heavy presence that was needed by a larger organization to help just kind of facilitate some bigger things to happen. Reach Out Worldwide, I believe, has been around for a number of years to help through other bigger disasters.
I had made the judgment call pretty early on to do evacuations because there was already the forestry department on scene, and so I went and I was first in the Holiday Farm area, the mobile park area, evacuating people, and then I moved on to different areas. And the first evacuation spot was here at the school. So I had brought in people who didn't have cars maybe 2 or 3 times here to the school, and I was able to see how the fire was progressing and kind of radio that in. The fire was moving incredibly fast. I have a specific memory of the fire traveling around the same speed as the vehicle I was driving, just kind of in my hindsight. In my side view, trees were coming down, boulders were kind of hitting the vehicle as I was driving. Had to drive over a tree that was on fire at one point, just kind of kept going. And I got here to the school, and they had told everyone here to now evacuate to Springfield, to the Thurston High School. I continued with evacuations here. There were police, law enforcement that were there with me. We were kind of going around. Didn't really feel like we were very effective that night. Kind of ended the night feeling like there were maybe hundreds of people that may have been in the way of the fire. And it was kind of really weighing on me. But there reached a point where we couldn't be in Blue River anymore, and we kept on kind of falling back in this direction, further west, back to the school. And at first we decided that we couldn't go west either. We couldn't join the people in Thurston. We were stuck here. And so we first decided that we'd have the school be a fallback point. And I said no, because the school's too flammable. And if it caught, then we'd be way too close to something that was way too hot. And so we went down to the community track that's just down the road here, and got into the middle of the track and parked all our cars. And we were there for about 3 hours, and the fire kind of burned by quickly on the riverside behind us, and maybe in a matter of 1 or 2 hours. We just sat in the cars, and we had burning embers flying at us. It was a very sort of surreal experience. I was one of the first people that had emerged from this place, and let anyone on that end know what things look like, and that was hard. When I got to Rainbow, or basically where the fire originated from, it was this very surreal experience, because where I had come from, it looked like an apocalyptic sort of destruction zone. Everything was orange, you could hardly see, it was hard to breathe. There was just nothing. There were animal carcasses all over the place. But then when you got to where the fire had started, the wind was still blowing eastward, not as much, but all of a sudden there were clear skies and green trees, and everything looked okay. And there were all these people that were very excited to see me, but I then had to tell them what it was like. And it was very hard. They'd ask, is there anything left? I'd say, there's nothing left.
We'll get through this, we'll turn these ashes into beauty one day.